the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, and boy is it cold. We start with the invocation.
And all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. This is good and pleases God our Savior, who wants all people to be saved and to come to a knowledge of truth. For there is one God and one mediator between God and mankind, the man Christ Jesus. Will you please pray with me? Lord Jesus, we're so grateful to be in your presence. Lord, even in these city council chambers, I know that you watch over us and protect us from the evil one, the world, and our own flesh. And I ask, God, that you have a special hand upon these city leaders, our council members, our city government, our police and fire, even the city workers, Lord, that do hard work every day. I ask, God, that you lead this meeting, give these men and women wisdom and discernment, Lord, not just from good and evil, but from good and almost good. And I ask that you also, Lord, that you would bless each and every one of their families. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Yep.
Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Allman.
Here.
Caligiuri.
Here.
Comfort.
Here.
Dross.
Here.
Hermson. Heberking.
Here.
Ocean. Here.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take a moment of privilege here as running the meeting. Amy Miller, this is her last official meeting in her position as the city clerk and finance director. And I thought it would be, staff thought it would be fitting, and I played along, with doing a proclamation recognizing Amy Miller for her dedicated public service. It reads, "Now whereas Amy Miller has been employed with the city of Oskaloosa for a period of 32 years and has held the high position of Oskaloosa City Clerk since 2010. And whereas Amy Miller has been a loyal and dedicated representative of the city during that period of time, having helped guide and shepherd the city through various mayors, councils, city administrators, and administrations. And whereas Amy Miller has helped guide the city through various and sundry complex matters and issues which have arisen during her 32-year tenure, as well as the routine yet time-consuming day-to-day concerns and matters such as annual budgeting. And whereas Amy Miller has, throughout her long service, always been extremely knowledgeable and helpful on city matters and issues, and has shown and exhibited the highest degree of competence to help guide and assist the city through the years. And whereas Amy Miller has, despite the constant and considerable demands and pressures attendant upon her position, consistently been open, honest, friendly, approachable by both city administration and employees, as well as the general public, and has represented the city admirably. Now therefore I, Mayor David Kreutzfeldt, hereby join the members of our City of Oskaloosa City Council in extending heartfelt appreciation and congratulations to Amy Miller this 21st day of January 2025. Amy, thank you for your service.
Getting red, huh?
Getting hot now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
You'll be
you,
very
Amy.
missed. You'll be very missed.
Back to our agenda. First item up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they're included in the current agenda. The community is encouraged to speak before the mayor and city council and asked to keep statements brief. Time limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, the council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? Okay. Name and where you're from?
My name is George Tobackus. I'm the mayor of University Park. I come to you tonight as a neighbor and a friend. We partnered together in the library. We partnered together on the fire department, and we partnered together on several projects. We work with their Early Childhood Development Center, the Caldwell Center, several other different ventures. Tonight, you're going to be looking at a letter, a memorandum letter, I believe Randy has put together. What we're asking you to do is discuss partnering with us for a police protection. We are researching other options other than the county, and we would like you to consider it and discuss it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
George.
George.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Next up is the adoption and consent agenda. As presented, there are only one thing of, generally routine in nature. There was one item I wanted to draw the council's attention to, and this is item H, which is a resolution scheduling a public hearing on the vacation and sale of the 401-foot by 16-foot north-south alley that's adjacent to 1216 Santa Clara Street. That hearing is going to be on February 18th, 2025. Do we have a motion of support for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dross,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Getting into our regular agenda, first item up is the Code Enforcement Quarterly Report.
Whenever you are.
This is a fourth quarter quarterly report, October 1st through December 31st. Goal of the program to encourage private property owners to maintain their properties within established community standards and to uphold the city council's directive to eliminate nuisance conditions that negatively affect community appeal, reduce community pride, and threaten to reduce property values. Fourth quarter 2024 update, there were a total of 98 cases in the fourth quarter of 2024. So far, 74 of those cases have been closed. We've got 2 brush piles or dead trees. Both of those are closed. 14 hard surface parking or inoperable vehicles. 14 are closed. 40 garbage or junk. 40 of them are closed. 18 grass or snow. 18 are closed. For a total of 74 closed cases. Following are a couple examples of cleanups that we've conducted or have been cleaned up by the residents. First one is 503 8th Avenue East before. I believe this tenant passed away and it was left to the property owner to clean up. He
Oh,
did,
nice
next
job.
picture, he did a fine job. Next one is 416 K Avenue East. This was also cleaned up by the property owner. There's also some hard surface violations in here as well. And the next one, 916 South C. This was also cleaned up by both tenants. A lot going on here.
Oh, wow, that looks
Had
great.
appliances outside, furniture outside, kayaks all over the yard. They've also done a fine job of getting that cleaned up. And 476 North 10th, I believe there's a total of 27 vehicles on this property. Some of them were on hard surface, most of them were not. And I think, if I remember correctly, we got them down to like 11 or 10 vehicles and trailers, and all of them are on hard surface. So a lot of work has been done there. Any questions from the mayor and council?
Great job, Mike.
Good work.
Yep. Yeah, for the most part, I'm always interested in trends. And so for the most part, are you finding that property owners are pretty easy to get along with, that when you approach them, this is nothing new, the city has been working on this for a number of years?
Yeah, I'd say most of them are pretty accepting of the fact that they need to clean something up or change something. Some of them have given me a hard time, but comes with the job.
Good
Either
answer,
way.
Mike.
Very well done, though. Thank you very much.
I like the fact that the one, at least the ones you put in the report are ones that were abated by the property
Yeah,
owner
yeah,
themselves,
yeah.
that we didn't have to call in
And that's what I
and
was
do it
gonna ask.
ourselves and have a public hearing.
Those are my favorite, just letting them take care of themselves and getting it done in a timely manner and not having to use external resources.
If I could ask, because I saw that too, which is nice, what motivated, was it just sort of the attention drawn or the possibility of a fine or,
Yeah.
probably not
I'd say-
photos at city council?
I'd say both. Some of them I walked through and said, even though it's your property, it affects other people's property values as well. It drops tax rates, et cetera.
Oh, yeah,
Most of them understood and they were willing to work with me, so.
okay.
I don't think we could even get 27 vehicles on your property, Bob, could we?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay, item B. This is a discussion to receive council input regarding police coverage for both University Park and Beacon. And so University Park, Beacon, and Keoma have approached the city to inquire if the city would be willing to provide police coverage to their respective cities. Currently, those cities have 20D agreements with Mahaska County to provide the service. City manager and police chief have met and discussed the options and desire council input on the issue. City manager and police chief do not recommend providing coverage to Keoma due to the distance from the Oskaloosa city limits as to University Park and Beacon. City is adjacent to University Park and close to Beacon. The impact of providing service is having officers outside of our corporate city limits and being unavailable to respond to city issues. Financially, it would provide a source of revenue to the city by offsetting costs such as putting additional mileage on police vehicles. So there is a possible revenue estimate at this point of about $30,000 a year. And so, Randy, do you want to open up the conversation?
Yeah, when we met with George, I met with Eric too, and also talked to the Beacon mayor. And the county has provided the service up till now, and I think at the last county board of supervisors meeting, they wanted to base it now on valuation. So these cities were getting some very significant increases in costs. And Ben and I have looked at the number of calls. We go, with our mutual aid, we go to Beacon and University Park anyway as backup. We're not the first responder, we're the backup, so we don't stay there as long, we don't write any reports. If we were gonna provide the service, we'd be there a little longer, and we'd have to do the reports. We've looked at the numbers. Actually, I see Eric here. Keoma has
Could we
very
introduce Eric?
few calls.
Could we introduce
Four.
Eric?
Very few calls.
I think
Eric Thursky, I live out at Lake Keoma.
We had what, 4? Did we have
Also
4?
on council.
What do we have, 4 calls? out
Well,
there?
so we had 130 calls, 11 of them were when the sheriff comes to our city council meetings, though. The others are, really just, paper service.
They have very minimal.
Some were
Yeah.
dropped.
Okay,
It is,
thanks.
Yeah, no, not a problem.
it is, 10, like I talked to the fire chief about that, I presume it's about 15 minutes to get there. And then if we had a call in the city, if an officer's tied up out there, they can't even leave. And if they're not tied up, we're 15 minutes away from backup here in Oskaloosa.
But in University Park and Beacon, I'm understanding we already go there, right? We're there.
We're there quite often. Ben tells me that we're on our mutual aid agreement. We get called for backup. Sometimes we get there first, but if the sheriff's doing a domestic there, have to have a backup. And officers are really good about that. They help back us up, and it's a proper thing for law enforcement officers to back up each other up. So we were there. Ben has the numbers. We were there Beacon 37 times, and we went to UP 28 times.
Is that in a month?
54 times.
Is that in a month or?
Year.
Oh, a year,
Oh.
okay. And that's Oskaloosa Police Department responding as mutual aid, or that's?
Yes, mutual aid.
Okay.
Or we go as backup. And then as soon as Ben told me, as soon as the situation is under control, then our officers leave. The sheriff then would stay to finish up whatever needed to be done.
Okay.
So we go a lot anyway. If they did contract with us, it would be more time. It would be out there. Amy and I have discussed different ways and what to charge them. We talked about doing it per call and doing it on an hourly basis. We determined, or our thinking was that was too much paperwork. And I think George agreed with us on that. We were thinking about, we've talked numbers, but without council authority, I don't want to negotiate a 2080 agreement. I don't want to quote him a figure unless you guys are generally supportive of that. If you're not, then
So what's decided as far as cost goes? It'd be on an annual basis, right?
yeah, we have suggested that UP be $15,000 a year, paid on a monthly basis,
Okay,
and University Park
about the same.
Beacon.
12,000.
Beacon.
Excuse me.
Beacon, yeah.
Beacon 12. No, I think we said 18,000 for UP and 12 for Beacon.
Okay,
Okay.
and they were good with that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah.
We were just talking figures.
Oh.
I can't tell you that they're good with it. I can't tell them that you were good with that.
No, I just wondered if you had the,
But
those
but I
discussions.
think we're in the ballpark.
Okay,
So in terms of, and George, I'll probably call to you as we go in this. What is the level of service that we would be talking about? Is it primarily responsive, or would we also have patrolling going on out there?
They're not, we've talked to them, we're not gonna provide patrolling. We're not gonna be out there on a regular basis patrolling. This is to respond to calls only.
okay,
Okay.
yeah.
They are City of Oskaloosa officers.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get a call and they hear it on the radio, we generally go in
Okay.
for backup. And part of that is, not knocking the sheriffs, the deputy can be a long ways away, we're closer if there is a serious problem. If there's a serious problem, we're always gonna go anyway, and they'll back up. Excuse me.
Okay.
But if this is something the council wants me to pursue, then I will sit down with George and, Sean, and, try to hammer out something and negotiate a 2080 agreement and then bring it back to you for approval.
Mhm.
They, of course, would have to take their documents to their cities to approve it too.
Mhm.
And when I say those figures, George and I talked about them today. We weren't necessarily in agreement on those. We were just talking in generally what kind of cost we were thinking it would be. Now, there is, we are understaffed on our police department.
That's my
Yeah.
So, I'm going back to what Ben and I have talked about. During the days when we have enough officers, Ben's on duty, we've got the school officer, we've got, pretty good coverage during the day, but there's sometimes in the evening or on weekends, we don't have that backup, and we're a little short. So,
In those situations, can we call Mahaska County Sheriff, or do we end up doing something else?
well, I think they'll provide mutual aid to us. They'll back us up.
Okay.
It takes them a little longer to get there. Well, sometimes, not always, sometimes they're stationed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would provide the backup to us on the mutual aid agreement.
Okay.
So, it's,
But we would be the primary,
yeah, and Ben tells me we'd be there longer.
Yeah.
Because when we go and we're just the backup, the officer goes, and then as soon as if there's any issue there, as soon as that's settled down, and the sheriff has it under control, then we leave, we don't stay, we don't do any paperwork. It would be switched, the roles would be switched. We'd be there a little longer, depending on the issue.
understand?
I guess for me, Randy, just because I'm out, because we're short, we're losing another one, and we've been short for the last couple of years, and I don't have a problem providing service to UP and Beacon. You're saying we're going, but I want to make sure that you're going to get what you're paying for, and we're getting what, because being short staffed, like we all know what being short staffed is like. So taking on more than we have right now, and I mean it's been this way. I mean, it's not getting any better. So
That's a concern.
it's a huge concern for me.
That's a concern.
But as far as mutual aid, helping, I'm not against it. I just right now I feel like we're in the hole. So
And what's your, chief, your idea on this?
We pulled numbers, so if you have, I expected there'd be questions on numbers, like how many calls, so we pulled all that, so if you have questions on numbers, we can certainly answer this for you. Yes, I mean, it stretches us a little further. If the city needs that and we wanna be good neighbors, I'm sure we can make it work. It's probably all together, if we take on both communities, a 10% raise in calls for service in a year.
I know we talked about how many calls we respond for mutual assistance. Do we know how many calls the sheriff's department has been in University Park and Beacon?
Yeah, so in University Park, we ran it for the last 6 years. Just raw numbers, I can break them out by what the calls are, but the county had 441 calls in University Park last year. Of those, we went to 54 of them, so just over 10%. And then there were 28 calls to the fire department. In Beacon, in 2024, there were 343 calls to the sheriff's department. 37 of those we went with. But again, some of those are not actual calls for service. Some of those are message delivery. Some of those are paper service by the county, which they would still have to do. So the numbers would be a little bit less than that for actual calls for service. And we can break them out by what the calls were.
How many did they on paper delivery? I don't know. I can't remember. Thank you. How many of those?
They're serving papers.
Yes.
They don't do that. They still have to serve all that.
Right,
with
they're
us.
certain, right.
What-
We still do them within the city.
Yes.
And you count that as a call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So the way the county does their calls, and we don't always do it this way, every time they're out on something, they make a call for service. So
Okay.
as one of the mayors was saying, if they show up to city council, that's a call for service. Or if they're out at Casey's for a walk there, that's a call for service. So the numbers are not necessarily as high as what the paper would show.
Yeah, I'm more focused on actual
Right.
crime type calls.
How many would servicing papers take out?
So in 2024, paper service, there were 55 calls
Yeah,
out of 343
Yeah.
for the sheriff's department.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big chunk. 20 of the calls were phone calls where they did a
Okay.
phone call. So that's something that would carry over. And then there's 50 calls, just random complaints that doesn't say what they're about.
Okay.
But paper service is quite a bit, which they would still continue to do.
Okay.
Paper service.
So one of the concerns would be if we have officers that are over in University Park Beacon, a call comes for a citizen in Oskaloosa needing service, what would be a good estimate for the amount of time? What would the normal response time be, and what would a revised response time be?
Our response time is generally pretty fast because it's a small town. You can get anywhere, including in UP and Beacon, you can get anywhere relatively quickly. If there are 2 units tied up on a call and can't leave, then that's going to extend it out. But if we're backing up the sheriff's department in UP right now, we have 1 officer there, 1 deputy there, and things calm down, the officer can leave immediately and go somewhere else. If we have 2 tied up somewhere and then it calms down and 1 can leave, then we do that. And we all work very well together. So if there's a violent call going out just outside of the city and the county, we just go. We just go and help because we know the county's going to need that. And they do the same thing within the city. If they hear something, we're all based in the city anyway. If they're in town, they go and back us up immediately until it's calmed down, and then they handle the other things. I would assume the same thing would happen in UP and Beacon. We always work well together. The sheriff's department and the police always work well together that way. They always back each other up.
I seen that with that one car chase we had in town.
Absolutely.
And so what I was just trying to get at was, if a person, if there was reason for a police officer to leave University Park or Beacon to come to the center of Oskaloosa, would it be a minute travel time to get them there?
About
2?
that, yeah,
Okay.
pretty quick.
Okay.
They know that stuff.
You get to make noise doing it.
Can I ask something of the mayor?
Absolutely.
Because I know, George, you're very thoughtful.
Would you step up to the microphone, George?
You're a very thoughtful man, so I'm curious what prompted this.
What prompted this was
Yes.
the cost.
Okay.
We as University Park, for the last, I believe it's been 8 years, don't quote me on that, paid $4,200 a year to the sheriff's department for the 2080 agreement for police protection.
Okay.
That does does not include code enforcement. That does not include, it's only police protection to respond to calls. That's it. We had a letter from the county attorney stating that our cost would go from $4,200 to $33,156.
How much?
$33,156.
4,200 to 30?
Correct. And with that $33,000, that does not count patrols, which the $4,200, we included patrols in that. We paid for extra patrols. I believe it was $70 to $100 an hour, depending on what year it was. That does not include patrols. Patrols would be $70 an hour, additional to the $33,000. It's cost. It's cost. That's a significant increase in cost for no other services. I mean,
Were you given any reason for that dramatic?
the reason was they're a deputy short in the county, and it takes $156,000 and some change to fund that deputy. So they came out to all the communities and broke it down by tax evaluation on what the community was assessed at, and University Park being 21% of the tax valuation, we provide 21% of the $156,000, which is $33,000.
Okay, that's an interesting math, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Beacon went from,
I don't know what they're currently charged, but they're basically 23.
they went to 23,000.
My Kioma went to, what did we go to, Mark? 15,000.
$50.
Might have place on that.
Which is that's a big deal.
For 110 people.
Correct?
Yeah, I know.
And 10 calls.
So you guys only have 2 houses out there.
What's that?
We don't want people out there, Joe.
No, there's a lot. He's talking about Keoma. There's a lot more houses in University Park.
There is.
Okay.
So a lot of those calls to service, if a University Park resident calls the 911 center and it's not an emergency call and they ask a question, a lot of times the 911 center will call myself or somebody in the community to take care of that problem.
Okay.
We handle all of our own code enforcement. We handle all of our own municipal infractions and nuisance calls as well.
Okay.
This would just be for state-required police protection.
Okay.
That's what we're asking.
Would you want that job, Mayor?
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
I guess if Randy's looking for input, so my input would be I'd just be supportive of Randy negotiating agreements with Beacon and University Park.
I agree.
Okay, looks like we've got consensus over there.
I mean, in my opinion, I think it's always wise to understand what it means, right? I think, the concern about manpower, I think that's an obvious concern. I think we need to, part of the negotiation and understanding what is required is clearly defining what services we're providing and when and how. Make sure that we've got the staffing to do it, and the cost seems to, again, what the revenue we receive that covers costs. Nice to a little more than just recover costs. There's always those unforeseen things, but again, I mean, I don't think it hurts one bit to have those discussions. I think we should.
I like I said, I feel the same way. The staffing bothers me, but as far as aiding, I don't have a problem with it. I guess for me, George, personally, because if we do it 1 year and we find it doesn't work or we can't staff it, I mean, it's maybe something that we need to not be locked into. Maybe it's a trial run. I mean, maybe you won't be happy or we won't be happy or we both won't be happy, but I think definitely if we can figure out staffing,
Rhonda, that's a great point, because George and I had that discussion.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean.
We would try it a year, and then when we would evaluate it on the number of calls we actually, because now we've got a little guesstimate. So now, at the end of the year, we'll compare that, how many times it came, is that a reasonable amount that covers our costs and our issues? And George can make the same evaluation on his end, if he thinks it's too much or not enough.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked about this being a 1 year.
Could turn out to be not as good as we thought, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Does the 2080 agreement with the county have an end date, or is it?
I believe it's July 1st.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And for you guys, that goes year after year after year, isn't it? They're just one year rolling?
They gotta renew it every year.
Yep.
That's why
But
the
at the
county.
new rate.
That's why the county
Correct.
which drew their interest interest or attention was the county proposing it be done on valuation, and then with the idea of paying for another officer.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. As long as I want to make sure that we're tracking our costs as we do this. And then, yeah, as I see it, the council is very much in
So
agreement. Go ahead and
What I'll
do
do
it.
is I'll open up negotiations with George and see if we can come up with some proposals, maybe a proposed 2080 agreement, and then in that case, I would bring that back to the council.
Sounds real good.
And
And Beacon as
for
well.
Sean too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think before, as I understand this, the previous city manager had just told him no. And so it kind of ended there. And I think then George kind of opened this back up to, for discussion, and then that's how we got there.
Okay.
Otherwise, we might have had this done a long time ago.
When did you get the new rate increase?
I believe it was November.
November, okay. Okay, so it was right when Matt was leaving.
And I'm just saying that that's why you didn't hear about them.
Right, right.
Mhm.
The timing was probably off.
I'm not exactly making a recommendation, I'm asking for input.
Sure.
No, no,
My
no.
only
You're right. Yep,
recommendation is,
yep.
and I have this with Eric, that just, we think Keoma's too far.
Yeah.
I mean, if they were closer, they'd be right,
Yep.
right in. And they don't have, I know they don't have any crime there, but
They have a lot of money in the bank, so I was happy.
Eric lives there, there's gotta be some crime.
Yeah.
the county's proposal is, I think, to take almost all of their tax money.
More than.
More than our
What
tax
they're
dollars.
proposing is to keep
More than.
their taxable income.
Wow.
Yeah.
That puts them in a tough spot,
Mm-hmm.
tough spot.
Eric's got a new job, along with his
Okay.
other one.
So,
Okay, I will,
right.
I'll proceed to some formal negotiations and
Okay.
try to bring something back to you. I think George told me they have a deadline of February 28th.
Correct.
mhm.
That they have,
See what they're gonna
the
do.
county has given them for an answer,
Okay.
so I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Randy.
Very good. Thank
Thanks, George.
you. Item C. This is consider a resolution levying a special assessment for nuisance abatement at 910 High Avenue West. This is in accordance with the Oskaloosa Municipal Code 8.08.080. This does require a public hearing for this special assessment. There were certified notices sent to the property owner. Notice will be published in the Oskaloosa Herald. And if approved, the property owner will have 30 days from the time of filing with the Mahaska County Treasurer to pay for the abatement at the city clerk's office. Then after 30 days, it's assessed to their property tax with a payment schedule at 9% interest. So the nuisance notice was given on May 14th of 2024. Nothing was done, and abatement was conducted by the city on October 4th of 2024. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do I have a motion of support for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond,
Yes.
Calenger,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item D. This is to consider approval of a device retailer license for Oskaloosa Tobacco and Vape LLC. They're located at 1209 A Avenue East. During the 2024 legislative session, Iowa enacted Senate File 345, effective on the 1st of January of 2025, which regulates the taxes the sale of devices in Iowa. So a device is defined as any equipment or product made in whole or in part of glass or metal that is designed for use in inhaling through combustion, tobacco, hemp, other plant products, or a controlled substance. Anyone wanting to sell a device to consumers from a place of business must obtain a device retailer permit, which must be approved by the city containing the retail location. Oskaloosa Tobacco and Vape LLC has submitted a device retail application. Police Department has reviewed and approved the application. Staff is recommending approval. It's a $1,500 piece of revenue to the general fund. Do we have a motion of support for this?
Move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I suppose this is the first of at least a few that will be coming? Yeah. We hope so.
So,
Okay.
any other discussion or questions? I've got one. if a business is selling these now, we have, of course, we're doing this, the license now for one. Does that mean everybody else as of the 1st of January is technically in violation?
Yes, so the law changed quite a few things, including anybody selling these has to have them out of sight of any minors, and they cannot allow anyone in their store under 21. So there's some retail shops in the mall that have changed their signage and changed how they're doing things. But anybody selling things like this are out of compliance until you approve this one, and there's one store that would be in compliance.
Okay.
A lot of things change in this legislative session.
So those ones that aren't in compliance, will they be notified that they're not in compliance?
Yes,
Okay,
so we're
okay.
working on that, and the fines are pretty significant,
Okay.
$1,000 for the first violation.
Okay.
But in paying this, though, they still have to have it removed from sight and still
Correct.
have an age in that.
And then this license is that for 1 year or is it for several years?
It's a 1 year.
1 year. Got to sell quite a few of these things just to justify the license. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there was an article in the Des Moines Register. One lady said, "This will put me out of business."
Yeah, and I don't know what they sell these things for.
Well, okay,
Maybe how much?
Well, yeah.
It's kind of like in Amsterdam, the coffee shops. Right?
So, anyway.
I never been in them.
Yeah.
Walk by them, that's about it.
Walk by 'em,
Sure, Joe.
They don't smell like coffee either.
No, no. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your
That's
question.
my license.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Somebody wants a vote pretty soon. Okay, roll call, please.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond.
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Dross.
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. That passes. Getting to item E, this is a motion to approve the Mahaska Chamber Development Group Oskaloosa Main Street Annual Calendar of Events. So there's a request reflecting dates for promotions and activities where Mahaska Chamber Development would like to use city property. The associated street closure fees are waived per council adopted 2025 fee schedule. There are also maps in there of the street closures. Do we have a motion of support for this?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Almond.
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Comfort.
Yes.
Dross.
Yes.
Ibrahim.
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to item F. And that is to consider a resolution authorizing and approving a voluntary contribution of $283,336.27 to the Mahaska County 911 Center for services provided July 2024 through January of 2025, and to include remaining fiscal year 2025 monthly payments on the council claims list. So in the background of this, Oskaloosa entered into a 2080 agreement with Mahaska County Emergency Management Commission on August 17th of 2021 for the purpose of providing joint emergency response communication services that are facilitated by the Mahaska County Emergency Management Commission and its personnel on behalf of the city of Oskaloosa. That agreement ended on June 30 of 2022. The city desires to make a voluntary contribution in the amount of $283,336.27 for the emergency response communication services from July 2024 to January 2025. And then staff is also requesting approval to include payments in the amount of $40,476.61 on the council claims list each month for the remaining services in fiscal 2025. So this does require a resolution to authorize and approve the payment. Do we have a motion of support for this?
That's so moved.
Second.
So,
Any discussion?
yeah, real quick, so the 40,000, we'll just do pay it monthly rather than doing a
Yes,
big chunk?
so the first of each month, you get a claims list. We'll put it on
Okay.
there so that we'll stay current on the payment throughout the end of this fiscal
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
And then we did see a savings because staff, Chief Bakey and I had gone over, to have a meeting with the sheriff and Cheryl with the 911. There were some discrepancies on some of the spreadsheets. It didn't balance back to the budget. So we did find over 27,000 in savings for this year, and potentially we're hoping 49,000 for the next year that we will talk about more during our budget discussion.
Great.
But we'd like to bring them up to date. They've got a cash flow problem because we're 52% of their funds, and then if we could pay them out monthly, that would help and we'll receive the service.
But this is still called a voluntary.
It is because we do not have a current 2080 agreement, so the goal would be to get a 2080 agreement in place and outline some different things going
At what
forward.
point?
But this would, yeah, soon, you know. But this would take care of the rest of this year. Because we don't have that, so we don't have a
Right.
written agreement with them.
Right. I still feel very uncomfortable. It's like George getting the bill that, you know.
I will say that they were very receptive to having the meeting. They
Of
were
course they
agreed
are.
right
We're
away.
paying their.
They are trying to make savings. They're not filling a vacancy. One of the concerns that we had with doing this voluntary is we wanted to see an audit, you know, and they think, it sounds like they've secured somebody to do that
Okay.
audit. So,
Okay.
you know,
Something
and I do
mentioned
think a
before.
2080 agreement would be in the best interest. That would
Well, I
be
don't
good
wanna-
going forward.
Right.
Maybe to levy for the benefits as we had discussed during one of our meetings. So that would be the goal, you know,
Right.
going forward.
I'd like to do the agreement, but not before until the audit's done.
Right.
There you go.
Right. Absolutely.
Because the spreadsheets we've seen, the numbers all over the place.
And thank you for taking that upon your guys' stuff and doing that, Amy. I
I
appreciate
was
it.
gonna commend these two for
Yeah,
doing that.
for doing
meeting.
that, yes,
They
absolutely.
went-
Yeah.
Right.
So I stayed away kind of on purpose because they're talking budget numbers and it was a really good meeting.
And Chief Vaughn was the one that said, I think, just knowing some of the staff, you need to sit down and do it, so.
So that was kind of a team.
That's good.
effort.
Well done.
But yeah,
Thank you.
yep.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, 'cause-
Well, thanks for doing that.
Yeah. We got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Caligari,
Yes.
Comfort,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Ibrahim,
Yes.
Ocean,
Yes.
Almond.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. That gets us to the end of the regular agenda. Opportunity for city council members to speak. Lisa.
I just wanted to congratulate our medical services here. I've been to the chiropractor. I had to go to the vet. I thought my dog broke her leg. They get you right in. My 88-year-old uncle had the virus. He had to wait in Mercy in Des Moines for over 7 hours. I can't imagine having to wait 7 hours anywhere, you know, in this city and that. So
That's when you
anyway.
use a local hospital.
Right, so using a local hospital is key, you know. So yeah, over 7 hours. He just about died in the waiting room, and they finally acted. So anyway, I just really good medical services here, and I think sometimes we take that for granted, and it's not that way other places. So.
Okay. Charlie?
Yeah, I told Amy I was going to embarrass her. I don't have a whole. Until I was walking in the meeting, it kind of spaced me that I didn't write anything for Amy tonight. But I started attending council meetings in 2007. And Amy was not quite in this role, but she filled in for her predecessor every now and then. So it's going to be different at our next regular council meeting when Amy's not sitting here. And I think, as the resolution said, Amy's guided us through a lot, guided previous councils through a lot. I think she's been that steady hand for the city manager position over the years. I think her and Michael had a great synergy there. And having Randy as our interim, I think has been, for the past month, has been a good pairing. It's going to be a big hole to fill there in City Hall. It's going to be different, not getting those emails on from Amy from time to time. But obviously, we wish Amy all the best over her retirement. So.
You got emails from her? I didn't get none.
I should tell you.
I think it goes without saying. Amy did 8 months as our city manager, interim city manager, so we got a lot of emails.
Yeah.
So.
Charlie, you started coming to council meetings before 2007.
Oh yeah, 2006, yeah.
Yeah.
You did the pledge when you were a youngster.
Yes,
Back in the
yes,
day.
and when Randy was our city attorney. So.
That's been a while.
I'm going to call to a boo next. Anything from you?
Nothing for me tonight.
Okay.
No, sir, thank you.
Amy, I just wanted to say the same thing. You're always welcoming when I pop in whenever I can, and she said, come on in, and so I will miss that, and I miss your honesty, so I am very happy for you.
So, and I share that sentiment as well, thus the proclamation, so what it said. Before we close out here, there's the opportunity for a closed session. So the item is to consider a closed session under Iowa Code Section 21.5.1C to discuss strategy with legal counsel on a matter that is presently in litigation or in which litigation is imminent, where disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the city's position. There is a line in here for the city attorney's legal opinion.
Acting pursuant to the requirements of the Iowa Public Information Board, I would state and indicate that the closed session to follow is to discuss legal strategy in a pending matter with Bradley Beeman, the attorney of record for the city of Oskaloosa, Iowa, in this matter, acting pursuant to the contract existing between the parties.
Okay, very good, thank you. So at this time, we'll go into closed session. Thank you,
I
everyone,
think
for
we need a
being here.
motion, don't we?
Oh, yeah, we need a motion as well. Do we have a motion to go?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Comfort?
Yes.
Jost?
Yes.
Ibrahim?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Almond?
Yes.
Caligari?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Into closed session we go.
Can't wait for the opportunity.
Open session. Having no further business to do tonight, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.